Enjoy the convenience of 7 days a week banking and extended hours with Cube from First Arkansas Bank and Trust. Member FDIC. It's time for From the Short Grass with Trey Schaap, a golf podcast for those who love golf, struggle with golf, and just like to enjoy the outdoors and fellowship with friends, all while chasing a ball around trying to put it in a 4 1/4 inch diameter hole. From the Short Grass is brought to you by Blackman Auctions. For over 80 years, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. And by Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels. We partner with you to deliver high-yield results by managing, developing, and investing in top-quality hospitality assets. And now, from the Short Grass, here is your host, Trey Schaap.
Welcome to another edition of From the Short Grass. I am your host, Trey Schaap. Coming up on this edition of From the Short Grass, I sit down with one of the state's best amateur golfers ever, and he has the titles to back it up. He is a member of the Arkansas State Golf Association Hall of Fame, has won multiple stroke play and match play championships, and he has been named ASGA Men's Player of the Year 5 times. Before we get to that interview, I want to bring you some major news from the United States Golf Association. USGA CEO Mike Wan made a major announcement last week in regards to the USGA Women's Open. Here is a snippet from that press conference.
In 2022, when we play the U.S. Women's Open presented by ProMedica at Pine Needles, we'll be playing for a purse of $10 million, which is up from our $5.5 million purse just last year. Beyond that, we're making the commitment that $10 million will become $12 million over the next few years that follow. So we'll go from 10 to 11 to 12 in the near future. If you're lucky enough to lift that up on a Sunday at Pine Needles, you'll make $1.8 million that week. And that's the kind of change that I think can not only be lasting for the person who makes it, but can be lasting for the 6-year-old, 9-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old dreaming of raising that thing and realizing that her dream is different today than it was yesterday.
That thing USGA CEO Mike Wan is talking about is the Harton S. Simple Trophy that goes to the winner of the U.S. Women's Open each year. And not to mention a hefty check starting this year, $1.8 million to the winner of this year's United States Women's Open. That will be contested at Pine Needles Lodge and Golf Club in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Some future sites of the U.S. Women's Open 2023 Pebble Beach Golf Links, 2024 Lancaster Country Club in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, 2025 Erin Hills, 2026 Riviera Country Club, 2027 Inverness Club in Toledo, Ohio, 2028 and 2038 Oakmont Country Club in Oakmont, Pennsylvania, 2029 Pinehurst Resort and Country Club, the number 2 course, 2030 Interlochen Country Club in Minnesota, 2031 and 2042 Oakland Hills Country Club in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, 2034 and 2046 Marion Golf Club in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. The U.S. Women's Open stepping up its game. That's not the only thing the USGA is doing. They are adding an exemption category to the U.S. Open Championship that will begin with the 2023 championship at the Los Angeles Country Club's North Course. The cumulative points leader from the 2022 Korn Ferry Tour season, which begins Sunday, January the 16th, using combined points from the Korn Ferry Tour's 23-event regular season and the 3-event Korn Ferry Tour finals, will earn an exemption for the following year into the U.S. Open. Also stepping up their game, Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels. Find them on the web at bphotels.com. Search their properties that they manage when you need a place to stay around the great state of Arkansas. bphotels.com. We're back with more from the Short Grass after this.
This is Thomas Blackman of Blackman Auctions. Trey asked me to sponsor a show for another few months. Even though I don't like golf, I do like his show. I have no idea how he gets the awesome variety of guests on his show, but it is entertaining and informative even for a horrible golfer like myself. I'm learning a lot about the game and about the passion for playing. So much so, I've started using my country club for more than Sunday brunch. Trey makes golf interesting. I make auctions interesting. For auctions, listen to me. For golf, listen to Trey. Since 1938, Better Auctions or Blackman Auctions.
With all the decisions you need to make about what to do in El Dorado, finding a place to stay is an easy one. The Haywood is uniquely positioned to make your stay one to treasure. Located in the historic Union Square district of El Dorado, the Haywood offers luxurious accommodations that feature contemporary, colorful rooms with high-quality bedding, comfortable baths with walk-in showers, and a spacious workspace with stylish plantation shutters that are unique additions to the stunning decor in a non-smoking environment. Make the Haywood your home away from home the next time you visit El Dorado.
Welcome back to From the Shortgrass. On the tee, one of the best amateurs to ever play the game in the state of Arkansas. Here is Wes McNulty. Wes McNulty, welcome to From the Shortgrass. Do you remember the first time you ever picked up a golf club?
I do. I was probably 9 at the time, 9 or 10 years old. We were still living at the farm. I grew up in a little town called Sherrill. I think there's a population of 1 or 2 there now. But my dad, who didn't play much golf, got a set of clubs at a garage sale because he was going to start playing golf, and I took it. And he told me that if I could ever hit it over the road that was in front of our house there, that he would take me to play golf. It took me a day or so.
I was going to say, it probably didn't take you long, did it?
Didn't take me long.
You tell a young buck like you can't do something, you're going to find a way to do it.
I'll try. That motivates me. Absolutely.
What other sports did you play growing up?
I was basketball, baseball, very heavy into baseball. Pine Bluff was just a huge baseball town. And I think that from the time I was 11 till I was 18, we won the state title every year except one. For whether it was Little League, Legion, Babe Ruth. We went to 2 World Series, one in Legion, I think, when I was 16, and we went to the 13-year-old Babe Ruth World Series in Frederick, Maryland.
Wow.
And that was a real neat experience.
And so were you playing at Taylor Field then?
We played at Taylor Field when we got to Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
And we never had a Babe Ruth World Series here in Pine Bluff when I was growing up. But in Pine Bluff, there were 5 little leagues, different divisions. And there were 8 teams apiece. There were 40 little league teams with 12 kids apiece in Pine Bluff when I was growing up.
So how did you balance trying to play your golf but also baseball? Because during the summer, I mean, both of those sports coincide.
Yeah, your baseball coaches didn't like me playing golf. And it wasn't ever a problem until I got into high school. I really didn't play any competitive golf till I was about 16. We moved into Pine Bluff. I was lucky enough to move right beside Pine Bluff Country Club, and there was a pro there named George McEwen. Mm-hmm. And he took me under his wing, and one day I was out there just practicing one day, and he told me, because I was going to go to Louisiana Tech to play baseball. He told me, he says, the one thing that you'll realize is that you don't have to have anybody with you to practice when you play golf. If baseball, you're going to have people to practice.
You got to have someone throw the ball to you,
or
you got to have someone hit it to you if you're going to field, right?
That's
or
right.
Or even catch when you throw.
And I know, I was a decent enough pitcher to actually get drafted. I think it was the 34th round or something like that by the Cincinnati Reds. But I probably peaked when I was in the 9th grade because I was 6 foot 180 in the 9th grade and could throw it in the low 80s.
It didn't grow anymore.
But the coaches didn't like me playing golf. They always wanted to blame you popping a baseball up or something like that. My dad, he was very wise. When I was 14 or 15 years old, he gave me a book by Charlie Lau, and he was the hitting instructor for George Brett. George Brett was my idol.
Okay.
I love George Brett.
Kansas City Royals.
That's right.
Did you put pine tar on your bat too?
Way up there. and then I came off and got ejected out of every game. But yeah, so he wrote a book called The Art of Hitting 300. Everything in his book was related to a golf swing. It really changed my philosophy and my dad's philosophy because he was trying to, validify the fact that golf didn't affect baseball. But you couldn't get that through the old-timers' heads in Pine Bluff. No way.
No.
But, I didn't play any competitive golf until I was about 16. And then I still hadn't played. I played one junior tournament my whole life. I was ended up not going to Louisiana Tech. I ended up going to ULR, played baseball there for a semester, and decided that I didn't want to play baseball anymore, and I just went out to the driving range. And I know this is totally illegal now, but the coach there at the time, and I think his name was Kevin Anglin, very nice guy. I was out at the driving range one day, and he came by, and he said, "Why don't you hit some more balls?" And he said, "Do you play golf?" And I said, "Not really." He says, "Why don't you come play golf at ULR?" So I
just like that.
Just like that.
From seeing you on the driving range.
That's it. And then there was a player there at the time. His name was Chip Meadows, very nice guy. I think he still lives in Little Rock, and hadn't talked to him in years. But he said, "Hey, Coach, why don't you get this guy to come play golf?" So right then and there, I was on the ULR golf team. I played that semester, and then ULR canceled their program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what did you do then?
So I didn't know what to do. So I decided I didn't want to play baseball anymore. And so I came home and went to UAPB just to stay in school, worked here at the farm. And George McEwen really kind of took me under his wing, and we played golf 5 days a week. And I learned more in that 1 year playing golf with him every day than I have the 30 years since.
Sure.
And I was lucky, and I don't know whether this was by accident or whether this was set up, but they had I started playing some ASGA events, and I went to Stuttgart, and I got paired with Bill Woodley, who was a coach at Fayetteville.
Mm-hmm.
And after we got through, he asked if I wanted to walk on. And so I walked on to Fayetteville the next year and played there for 3 more years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of an interesting trek from Little Rock to Pine Bluff to Fayetteville.
That's right. It was an interesting trek. I look back on it now. I didn't have a clue how to play golf then. It was just I knew how to hit a golf ball forward straight. Yeah. I didn't have a clue how to play golf, but I learned a lot that I didn't think I was really learning anything, because I was there with Dean Pappas and Brendan Pappas and Jack O'Keefe and David White. We were the 5 traveling golfers back then for 2 years.
That's a stacked team.
Yeah, we went to the NCAA for 2 years, had a good period, but I was the weak link because I didn't really, like I said, I could hit a golf ball, but I didn't have a clue how to play golf.
When you were playing, and you said that the baseball coaches growing up didn't really like you playing.
They didn't.
There's a story about one time when you were playing in a tournament. Maybe that was the one tournament you decided to play in when you were a junior.
It was a men's tournament.
Okay.
And it was a state match play that was
But
at
how old
Rosswood.
were you?
I was 17.
17 in an ASGA men's tournament.
That's right. I was 17, and it was at Rosswood, and I didn't, hadn't played any tournament golf. And George said, "Hey, there's a tournament here. Why don't you go try to qualify for it?" And I told Dad. He said, "Yeah, you can go qualify for it." So we went and played, and I shot 75, I think, in a qualifier, kind of placed in the middle of the pack. I played 2 matches that day. And I know the last match I played was Petey. I know I played Petey King in the morning, and then I played Oscar Taylor in the afternoon, who was a great local golfer, kind of legendary around here. I had to go extra holes with him, but I was scheduled to pitch that night in our district tournament against Sheridan. So I got to, I ran from the golf course, put on my baseball uniform, went out and played. I went out for the baseball field, and the coach grabbed me and says, "I heard you've been playing golf all day." I don't know how he knew that.
Right.
I have no idea. I said, "Yes, sir." And he looked at me and he says, "If you make one bleeping mistake," he says, "I'm going to pull you so fast you won't know what hit you." So I threw a no-hitter and hit 2 home runs that night. So he couldn't pull me.
I was going to say, you didn't make any mistakes.
I struck out 17 that night.
Wow.
Yeah. So there were no mistakes.
Well, did you walk off the mound then and say, "Hey, how about that, Coach?"
Well, I was a little hot-headed back then, and after the game was over, I did go up to him and I asked him, "Was that good enough?"
And his response was?
He said, "Yeah."
You can go play golf anytime you want before the game.
That's right.
So what happened in that tournament?
Played 2 more matches the next day and won both of them.
Yeah.
And played baseball that night.
Yeah.
And then came back the next morning and played John Daly.
And
he waxed me 6-5.
wow.
But the one thing I remember about that match was not, obviously he hit it far, but far back then was 280.
Sure.
It's not 320 like it is now.
Right.
But he did hit it far, but the main thing I remember is just how good he chipped the ball. I mean, his short game was phenomenal. I mean, any time that I missed a green, I was going to lose the hole. Anytime he missed a green, he hit it an inch from the hole. He really was phenomenal, and he was very nice to play with. I remember he was about to close me out, and I think it was on the 12th, 13th green, and he says, why are you playing baseball? He said, why are you playing baseball? And I said, I didn't have an answer for him because you were expected to play baseball
in Pine Bluff.
Yeah. And he says, you need to go play golf. And, that wasn't the deciding factor, but that pushed me more toward golf.
I was going to say, and knowing what you know now about John Daly, that coming from him?
Oh, it was a big deal because John, I don't think he just, sends praises out to everybody all the time.
Right.
He was always nice to me. Even when I was at Fayetteville, John was very nice to me. He was glad to, he told me he was glad that I went to Fayetteville. He would come by and visit, every now and then after he turned pro, right before he won his first PGA. He'd come by a lot.
You decided after college that you would try the pro circuit. How'd that go?
Well, it was frustrating. I wasn't ready. Again, I didn't realize that I could hit a golf ball as good as most of the other guys could, but I couldn't think like they did, and my short game wasn't good enough. I thought, unfortunately, I was too perfection-oriented. If a shot required a right to left draw that needed to draw 10 feet, I got mad if it drew 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, there was a lot of things that I just didn't realize that I needed to accept. I had a little bit of success. The first tournament I played in, I led the Texarkana Nike event, which is now the Korn Ferry Tour.
Mm-hmm.
Won a couple of mini tour events down in Alabama. I played with Boo Weekley a lot. I couldn't, he was better than me.
I could imagine those conversations between those two country boys.
That was it was interesting.
Y'all talk a little fishing and hunting?
Well, we did, but Boo took country to another level.
Yes.
Yeah, I have the accent, but he's got the chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't use the towel to wipe his clubs.
No,
he uses that to wipe the shawl off his mouth.
That's right. Why he's making another birdie.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
true.
And I didn't think it was cool to spit on the green. He didn't care. No, it was, there was a lot of good players out there at the time. I see some of the guys that I played with that are now trying senior tour stuff. And
Have you thought about that?
No. If there was one regret I've had in the last few years is I've let myself get out of shape. And I needed to play. If I wanted to play golf competitively, I need to get back in shape.
You had a pretty good caddy when you started out, didn't you?
Well, my dad. And what's funny is I think back on it, my dad had a heart attack at 52. I'm 52. Right after he got out of the hospital, and, I was just then starting to play golf. Well, he started caddying for me. It was interesting. I think about trying to caddy for my sons right now. And I know what he went through because I wasn't the easiest person to get along with when I wasn't playing very well.
Right.
Especially then.
Right.
I'm bad now, but back then I was a lot worse.
So after you dabbled in the mini tours and everything, you decided, okay, that's not for me. I'm going to come back. I'm going to work at the family farm. I'm going to get my amateur status.
I think I turned pro into 93, and my first son, Jake, was born in 97. I played that year, and I progressively got a little worse. I wasn't really happy. I'd gone to see another swing instructor, and he turned me he turned me from a pretty good ball striker to a bad one. It wasn't his fault, but I was struggling, and I pretty much quit. It wasn't until 2004 that so there was a 7-year period in there where I didn't play much golf. And I'd still go out and play a little bit on my own, but I didn't compete. Mm-hmm. And in 2004, I ended up playing a round of golf with now my best friend, Chris Jenkins. He is the sole reason why I'm playing golf today. He is the one that got me to playing golf again and loving the game. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be playing golf now.
And now you are one of the most well-known, best amateurs to ever play in the state of Arkansas. You're in the Arkansas Golf Association Hall of Fame. You've won 13 ASGA titles. That's stroke play and match play combined. You've won Player of the Year 5 times.
5 times. You knew more than I did.
That's pretty impressive, though.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed playing golf again. And there was a stretch from 06 to 09 where I played some really, really good golf. You know, I can remember after I won my the match play that I won in 05 at Texarkana Country Club.
Great course.
It is a great golf course and great history, just a great old-style golf course. But I remember I played 6 rounds of match play there. And when I got through, I was driving home, and I remember that I did not make a bogey in 6 rounds.
Holy cow.
I did make one double.
Okay.
But that was the only over par hole that I had in 6 rounds of golf. And I played just, I was hitting 16 greens around. I just really played golf, and I got, as I'm driving home going down I-30, I'm going, this is what I was capable of. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize what I had done until I got through. That particular tournament's what kind of motivated me to keep playing amateur golf.
Right. You've made several state teams, USGA state teams. They don't do those anymore. One with me. But the fact that you've played in some USGA events as well, I mean, that has to – is that the pinnacle?
Well, I wouldn't say it was a pinnacle. It was – nice to be able to play in some national events. I had 2 really good finishes, some one top 5, one top 10. It was nice to compete against some of the guys that I played college with. Alan Bratton from Oklahoma State, their coach. He was a great player when he was at Oklahoma State. It was nice to play some high-level competitive golf. But, one thing that people don't realize is that in Arkansas, everybody talks about, well, it's a small state, there's not very many people there. Well, yeah, that's true. But they don't realize that there are so many good players here that don't go out and compete on the national stage. There is top-level talent. There's just not 55 of them. Mm-hmm. But there is 10, 15 of them that can play anywhere they want to play. I felt like I could compete with anybody. It'd been a long time since I was in college playing with the best college players. I was lucky enough to play NCAA in '90, I think, at Innisbrook with Phil Mickelson. I played 2 rounds with Tiger when he was 17.
Right.
So, there were some things that, I got to see top-level talent. These guys in Arkansas, like I said, there's not a lot of them, but there are very good players here. Playing in the USGA tournaments were really nice, but it's not the pinnacle.
The best golf course you've ever played?
Palm Country Club, and when I was growing up with George McEwen.
It's a fun course.
It is.
It's a tight course, but then it kind of opens up on the back. And I can attest, I've seen you get out of trouble more on Pine Bluff Country Club than any other course I've had the pleasure of playing with you. I don't know how you do it, but maybe it's just because that's where I grew up. I know where every tree is, and I know how to get out of trouble from every place.
Yeah, that's right. Needless to say, your listeners may not know that we won 7 Pine Country Club 4 balls in a row. So that's a title that
I was just along for the ride.
No, don't say that now. There were a couple matches there where you really bailed us out.
There were some when you bailed us out too.
I have played. I love Bandon Dunes. Mm-hmm. I think that's a wonderful place. In Arkansas, I hate to ever. They're all my favorite. Pine Bluff, Pleasant Valley, Texarkana, Lotion, the Blessings.
Yeah,
they're all wonderful.
They're all there.
And what a lot of people don't realize is that just because you grow up, I was really lucky to grow up at Pine Bluff Country Club. And no, it's not long, but it taught me to work the ball with drivers everywhere. Had to hit it straight,
left or right, straight.
That's right, and that was a big deal for me.
When you are done, you hang up the clubs for the final time. What will you remember most about you and golf?
I will remember the relationships that I've made through golf. There's so many names that I can go through that are my very best friends now. You being one of them. The people, that's what's so great about Arkansas. It's tight-knit. And there's so many people that I've met that have meant a lot to me and will always mean a lot to me. It's taught me values. It taught me that your reputation means something. Mm-hmm. Watching my kids love the game, both of them being good players and loving the game. I can tell you one thing. There's no more pleasure that I've got out of the game than playing with my two sons and watching them hit quality golf shots. Now, there's a lot of angst there also when watching them play bad.
Yeah, but your youngest son right now, he can hit the ball a mile.
Yeah, he can hit it a mile, no doubt about it. And
Josh is pretty good.
Josh is great, and he's got a lot of talent that could take him, places. But Jake, he loves the game, and he loves playing. What he's done with golf is what I always wanted to happen for them, was to have friends like I have and to love playing the game and compete, whether it's a 4-ball or whether they're playing an individual tournament. I don't care. I just wanted them to love the game, to work at getting better at the game. That is absolutely what gives me the greatest sense of accomplishment than anything.
Fantasy foursome, living or deceased, who would be in your fantasy foursome? I know one of them, but
my dad for sure. I wish I had listened to him more when I was younger. My dad's still here with me. He's still here working every day. I never said he was right when I was growing up, but he was.
I was going to say, are you going to say it now?
Yeah, he was right. George McEwen for sure.
Yep.
And if I could have 5, my sons.
Hey, it's Pine Bluff Country Club. You can have a 5-some out there if you want.
That's right.
You can have a 6, 7, or 8.
That's right. But you have to throw Chris Jenkins and Brent Winston. If I had to play with 4 living people, Chris Jenkins and Brent Winston are 2 of my dearest friends and big influences in my golf game. And I love them dearly.
This is Thomas Blackman of Blackman Auctions. Trey asked me to sponsor a show for another few months. Even though I don't like golf, I do like a show. I have no idea how he gets the awesome variety of guests on his show, but it is entertaining and informative even for a horrible golfer like myself. I'm learning a lot about the game and about the passion for playing. So much so, I've started using my country club for more than Sunday brunch. Trey makes golf interesting. I make auctions interesting. For auctions, listen to me. For golf, listen to Trey. Since 1938, better auctions are Blackman Auctions.
With all the decisions you need to make about what to do in El Dorado, finding a place to stay is an easy one. The Haywood is uniquely positioned to make your stay one to treasure. Located in the historic Union Square district of El Dorado, the Haywood offers luxurious accommodations that feature contemporary, colorful rooms with high-quality bedding, comfortable baths with walk-in showers, and a spacious workspace with stylish plantation shutters that are unique additions to the stunning decor in a non-smoking environment. Make the Haywood your home away from home the next time you visit El Dorado.
Welcome back to From the Short Grass. Since 1938, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. I want to thank Thomas Blackman and Blackman Auctions for their sponsorship of From the Short Grass. There is no golf rules segment this week because of the news from the United States Golf Association. I wanted to make sure we got that in, but it will return next week when we sit down with Adam Carney, our PGA Master Professional. I leave you with this golf quote from legendary golfer Sam Snead. Nobody asked how you looked, just what you shot. I hope you have a next great round on the course, and when you find your ball mark on the green, fix it and a couple of more. And I hope to see you from the short grass.
You've been listening to From the Short Grass, a weekly podcast dedicated to the game of golf. This has been a presentation of the Buzz Radio Network.